This episode of 3 Takeaways is about toxic employees at your agency, what that looks like when they're a rock star, and how to handle it post-pandemic. Stick around. Hey, welcome to 3 Takeaways, your agency new business video series where we focus on one new business category and give you 3 takeaways to help improve your new business program. Today's episode is sponsored by the legendary indie record label IRS Records. Got the shirt on, original home to REM and the Go-Go's, to name a few. That's not true. They are not really a sponsor. They are not around anymore. Anyway, we're talking today about toxic employees at your agency and what that looks like post-pandemic. Now, from talking with all kinds of firms here lately, the pandemic, for a lot of them, it put those kind of employees on the back burner. The problems didn't go away. I mean, there was still Zoom. We were seeing each other. That employee was still there, right? But there were bigger and other very real problems. But here we are, mostly post-pandemic, and agencies are adopting all kinds of models, stay at home, in the office, hybrids, and have put a fair amount of planning in place. Now, those toxic employees may have gotten a pass over the last year plus, especially if they did well, if they were rock stars. Now, if they're producing, sometimes you overlook a certain level of toxicity, especially if that employee knows how to walk right up to that line, but never quite crosses it. So I had an agency describe this very situation to me recently involving the employee and who drove new business, as it turned out. So with employees coming back or staying home, whatever your model is, you need to deal with that toxic employee now, especially in this job market. You can't afford to have one employee drive many other good employees out, rock star or not. So how to deal with that employee now in your post-pandemic agency world? Well, here's your first takeaway. Create or update your standards of behavior. I mean, it's surprising how many agencies don't have these in place, or maybe you haven't updated the existing standards to reflect your agency post-pandemic. Well, now's the time to do that. So an employee, and specifically that toxic employee, can never say he or she didn't have clear guidelines. All right, here's your second takeaway. Be specific and clear when it comes to performance. Now, this goes beyond behavior and towards expectations for each department or individual. What they're doing well, what needs to be improved. You have to avoid mixed signals and then document all of it, especially things like reviews. And that way, all employees are clear on what to expect and they see leadership making that clear. So with that toxic rock star, it's made clear to them, possibly that will help their behavior, or most likely to help agency leadership document instances where the behavior continues. All right, and your third takeaway, make sure there is an outlet for employee feedback and encourage employees to use it. Now, if that employee is truly toxic that we're talking about here, you as an agency principal, you need to know, you should want to know. And look, sometimes certain employees just don't get along. I mean, that doesn't mean one of them is toxic necessarily, but when it's clear, you're better off addressing it sooner than later. And you can do all the cost-benefit analysis you want when that toxic employee is a rock star. And it may be hard and probably will be hard to replace them. But ultimately, is that the kind of culture you want existing at your agency? All right, thanks for watching 3 Takeaways. Lots of new business content on our site at rswus.com. Just hit the resources drop down. See you next time.